Your name, your last name, and where you're from. My name is Bamoutou. Last name is Diabate. I come from Bamako. My neighborhood is Sutuba. So, how'd you learn how to play Ngoni? I learned from my dad. He used to play Ngoni as well. I learned from him, and when I was younger, I used to watch him play a lot. And since then, I like playing Ngoni. I started playing along with him. So I started off myself, and then I met Abusi Sisoko. He also helped me learn it more. Where I'm at now, it's grace to Abusi. He helped me get to this point. He was the first to teach me, and I taught myself secondly. If he himself wasn't there to teach me, then he would allow me to teach myself sometimes. So he was the first teacher, and yeah, he was. So now, maybe people don't know much about Mali, but can you tell us the benefits of being a teacher? There's a lot of benefits to it because everywhere it's appreciated. In Africa, precisely in Mali, if you receive the good wishes from a teacher, you will never be embarrassed. It doesn't matter what type of job, if you receive their good wishes, it's going to benefit you. Being a teacher doesn't apply only to those who teach how to play instruments. If it was your dad, if it was your mom, you're basically considered their child even though you're not. They will teach you how to play, but they'll also teach you how to navigate the world. That's what being a teacher means in Africa. You'll receive benefits that are not even related to music playing, which is what they're teaching you to do. Learning to respect people is also part of that teaching. So, where we are now today, not everyone has a teacher, right? So, people teach themselves without having anyone to help them. You understand? So, is there some benefits to that as well? Well, I can't say much about that because I didn't go that path. Whatever path you went, you know that path. I didn't go that path. In my opinion, the path I went through is nice, that people can help you learn. Learning is not just taking the instrument and learning how to play it. You're also going to learn the history of the instrument. You'll learn the meaning of songs and the history of them too. It's all a part of learning. So those people who didn't have a teacher, how are they going to know that? It's not easy. So for those who didn't have a teacher, I can't say what their benefits are because we took different paths. So now, what type of music inspires you the most in your experience? If I understand what you're saying, there's a lot of different music styles in Mali. There's Bamana Foley, but there's also different types of Bamana Foley. Jeli Foley and Malika Foley exist. But the type of style that inspires me the most is Jeli Foley because me myself, I'm a Jeli. Jeli Foley really motivates me. I'm going to ask you about that too. Since you were born into being a Jeli, some people, their parents won't allow them to play. Is that the same thing for Jeli families? It happens in some Jeli families. It does happen in some, but it's not often. For me specifically, My dad wanted me to be a soccer player. I did play. I played soccer a little bit, but here's the thing. The way moms treat their kids and the way dads treat their kids are not the same. The moms pays much closer attention to their kids than the dads. While I played soccer, I sustained a lot of injuries to my hands and to my feet. So my mom didn't really like me playing soccer, but my dad liked it. So at one point I was playing soccer but also playing instruments. But I was getting hurt while playing soccer. So I thought I'd put soccer to the side and focus more on playing instruments. My parents weren't in control of that. But me myself, I don't want my kid to enjoy playing instruments. Really? Why? Because it's getting ruined in Mali a little bit. Because with Malian music, if you can do it, you still take advantage of it. The entirety of music playing is changing. If you tell us to play Bajuru now, the older generations, we're gonna do it and we're gonna do it very well. So how are the younger ones gonna do it? How are the ones after them gonna do it? It's gonna be a lot of work. Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of work. The music situation is getting all mixed up because musicians aren't acknowledged as much. You will get your money from the weddings, from baby namings, and get money for sauce. But that's only money for food. You can't get money to be able to say that you can help build a future for your children. Like I said, Mali musicians aren't really acknowledged. They're putting all these copyrights and things like this on us, and it's all thieves. They're all thieves. For me, I'd prefer to pick up on that type of work because in Mali, if you don't become a producer, you're not gonna be very successful. The music that I compose versus the music that I arrange, I don't know either of their worth. You have to be at the top of everything just so you can earn a spot in Mali's producing industry. If it's not that, if you just solely rely on just playing the instruments, you're not going to make a good living off of it. That's the situation with Mali's music playing. What makes it more difficult is that maybe tomorrow, even after that, our children's situation will be worse. And that's the reason why I don't want my child to get into that. So, what prevents Malian musicians from getting rights to their own music? Because they're not doing copyrights for the sake of the musicians. They're doing it for singers, those who have albums. Because musicians form their own groups. The association I'm in is called AMIS, Association of Musician Friends. And then we made another one, and it was a big association. So AMIS is one of the musicians' associations, one of those big ones. All of this is happening so that we can be able to play. Those musicians that want to have rights, they have to be like arrangers. You have to arrange your own album, compose your own album, so you can obtain some of your rights and gain some revenue. Because Mali musicians, they can really play all the way to its extent. But you have to be an arranger if you want to get rights to your music. But those copyright people, they're all thieves. So it's not easy. I want to go back to what we were talking about earlier when you were talking about weddings and such, and you said that's how musicians get money for their food. So there is some benefits that come with these weddings and etc. But from what you are saying, it seems like there's a lot of consequences to that as well. What are those? The consequences are like no other. There's a lot of consequences. There's not always a wedding. COVID gave us a problem where Malian musicians weren't playing for 3 months. A lot of musicians were evicted from their houses because they weren't able to pay 1 month, 2 month, even all the way up to 3 months rent. A lot of musicians lost their marriages and a lot of them became something else. So that's the consequences. If there's no wedding, making a living is hard for musicians. Only if you have luck, if you have enough luck to go on tour. But even now, there's a lot of tours that are on hold. But if you're even not on tour and you're not having a lot of weddings, then you're out of luck. It's not easy for you to make a living. So that's one of the biggest consequences. There's not a lot of weddings. And even sometimes white people will have their own events and they'll bring it here so that people go to them. Everyone else has their job. People have their government jobs, etc., etc. But when we say that events are put on hold, those are our events, musicians' events that are being put on hold. So you're doing a lot of work right now. You play in a group and you play at weddings and such. Since you guys like to play, what's the difference between the two? Between the bands and the weddings? Yeah. Well, the music that we play at weddings are known for 40, maybe 50, even 60 years. We can even add some new adjustments to it at the wedding, just so that the crowd is more entertained. Everything that's played at the wedding is known. If you tell me to play Jawara, I will play Jawara. If you go to someone who plays Maninga fully or who does Jili fully and you tell them to play Jawara, they'll play it. They can all play Jawara, Bajuru, Lama, Kiniburama, Tara, Duga. It's those type of things. So those kinds of songs are played at the weddings. But that's just Jilia. If you go to Bamana, there's also songs that they play. There's Bamuguji, Gerabarayoro, Kesekoro, and all similar things. At the wedding, the singers will tell the musicians to play this certain type of song. And that song is known, so we'll play it. So that's the situation with weddings. But in the band, it's repetitive. You sit down, you come up with a new rhythm, a new melody. You make your own composition and bring that to life. All the different parts to the song are made, the chorus, the bridge, the solos. Because with this, the public that you play in front of is not the same as the public you play in front of at a wedding. Because some people are paying to see you. So you have to do something that'll make it worth their money. Whereas at a wedding, people dedicate songs to people. So it's not really the same thing. Me, I'm in two bands, and they're not the same. One is called Espoir Yanfunke, And the base of this music is Songhai. The group that I'm in is called BKO Quintet. I'm over there like a double because my teacher is there, so whatever he doesn't get to do, I can help out. It's a different style because it mixes two genres that hasn't been mixed before in Malian music. It mixes Ngoni, Danso Ngoni, and Jelia. So it's a different style. It's not the same as Koroboro. It's not the same as Sumo music either. Even some Sumo music, we can put it into Bekao and transform it just a little bit. There's some songs we can put it into Bekao and arrange it nicely. Even with Koroboro music, we can take some of their music, add some elements to it, and play it. That's the difference between this group and Sumo music.
So, continuing on with the interview series, I'm doing these in Bamako in February of 2022. And the next person that I talked to is Mamoutou Diabate. And I had the pleasure of meeting Mamoutou in the United States when he was playing with BKO Quintet, Bamako Quintet. A really, really interesting band that features just an interesting combination of musical instruments. And Mamoutou is going to tell us a little bit about that in this installment here. But just zooming out a little bit and talking about the inspiration for these conversations, as Mamoutou mentions in this interview coming right up here, there's just a ton of undiscovered, talented musicians in Mali. And rather than just like resorting to a very sort of typical approach of looking for the biggest names in Mali music, I thought it would actually be more interesting to share some of the stories of the people who are kind of like on the ground and just working in and out of music and making really cool stuff that maybe not everyone is paying attention to at this point, or maybe they're not like the biggest names or the people that are on the marquee or anything like that, yet they're doing really cool stuff. So that was kind of like an inspiration for this one too.
So the elements that you add to your Ngoni playing with Bekao, where does it come from? What inspires you? Because there's a lot of elements to it. You add pedals and all those different elements to it. I really like that question. With Bekao, we all use African instruments. Bekao wants to show off African instruments and show people that we can do electronic music with our African instruments. So we do rock and roll, and that's why I add effects, distortion, fuzz, delay, echo, all of that is in it. We can play some music from Sego and add some elements to that as well. We essentially play what the music is asking of us. If we need to make a rock and roll sound, we can add different elements, add different effects to it to create that sound. The public inspires musicians. If there's a crowd watching, I get inspiration from them. Because if I play something from memory, for example, and you're impressed by it, I'm going to try and impress you again. So that's what gets me excited. Musicians and the population complete each other. What I want to know now is, in rock and roll, is there a musician that inspires you a lot? So much so that you take elements of their music and incorporate it into yours? Yeah, a lot of musicians inspire me. First and foremost, my teacher. He does a lot of styles, so I inspire myself from them. Abusi can play jazz really, really well. He also does blues really, really well. Kanyafa also does those in rock. So yeah, I inspired myself a lot from them. So ever since I started playing, it was a dream of mine to become like them. So now with all that's going on in Mali, how is that affecting people? The events that are going on now? Yeah. Talking about the north or well, we can start with coronavirus. Well, coronavirus wasn't too much, but it was an obstacle for musicians. It was a problem for them. A lot of them became tired. There was really not much to do. A lot of us are nuanced now, whether that's in Bamako or any other place. If there aren't any celebrations, then being a musician isn't very favorable. Those canceled meetings or reunions affected musicians because they told people not to gather together. But people usually gather together. At the mosque, we would gather together. Even in the church, even in the market, people gather together at all these places. But they told us to stop. And it affected the musicians because, some of our marriages were ruined and we couldn't really make a good living. So it was really tough. And same thing with Corona, it affected all of us. After Corona, the problem in Mali, before coronavirus hit, there was a lot going on in Mali already. There's a lot of bad people in Mali now. People who would bomb places. In 2011, 2012 ish, there was that problem in Mali. Because of that, a lot of musicians had stopped playing for a while because it was dangerous. We did like 1 to 2 months like that. So when things like that happen, it affects us first. We're the ones that lose because everything, all the things we have to do get stopped momentarily. If people want to help Malian musicians, how can they help you? I like that question. If you want to help Malian musicians, there's a lot of little bands in Mali, right? There's some that are known, some that are unknown. Well, now we have technology and you can just upload music to the internet. So really, if you want to help Mali musicians, it's easy because we're in that time of the world where Facebook, Messenger, WhatsApp, all the social medias, they're very prevalent. So it's just enough to just get into contact with these musicians. And if you can help them financially through these platforms, that will be very favorable. You know, sometimes you can even travel to see them and work with them. There's associations for that. Like the association I'm in, AMIS, is all musicians. We have our own Facebook page and whatnot. And if you can just get into contact with us and talk to us, you guys can help us. That's one way. I personally like singers. I feel like now, today in Mali, they're more calculated than the musicians are. The singers are also very helpful to the musicians. Like I told you earlier, there's some singers who would help give money for food to their musicians, even when there's no opportunity for them to play music. I can name some people, some singers who do that for musicians, but I'm not going to. But anyways, there's some people who don't even need musicians other than to play. Some don't remember their musicians until it's important, and that's not good. There's a certain hospitality that comes with singers. A musician can tell a singer that they're not feeling up to it to play, and the singer could allow them to rest. There's that hospitality in singers, but not really in the musicians. However, there are some singers that if you even try to call them, they won't pick up. It won't be me, God willing, but there are some singers who won't even pick up the phone if there's a problem. There's a lot of those type of singers here in Mali. There's a lot. It's everywhere. But there's also singers who will be nice enough to make accommodations. Even if they don't pick up the first time, they'll call back and they'll help you however they can. That hospitality is not with a lot of musicians. There's a lot of situations where people at the top don't want those below them to reach their level. Helping people out in Mali is almost rare. You know, with the luck of God, a stranger can help someone get into a successful position because there's a lot of hidden talent in Mali. The people in higher positions don't want people in lower positions to get to their level. So people usually just play at to the extent of their own level and they don't go beyond that. So what I want to go back to is for those who don't know the difference between Jelis and their hosts, can you tell us what the difference is? So there's been Jelis and there's been hosts since our ancestors were here. In Malian lifestyle, Griot is a big part of it. So is hospitality and being a host. If I'm a Jeli and you are my host, your piece, I have to be able to help you obtain that. I'm like your messenger. That's the relationship between hosts and Jeli. None of your children will not have a relationship with me. I help organize all the ceremonies that you want to take place. Those celebrations On the day of, I'll take my ngoni or my kora and I'll go to your place and basically nourish you like your messenger. I go to your place and I help you out with things. I help you with life in general. The relationship between Jelis and hosts, it was like the Jeli were the messengers of the host. So they would take care of each other. It was said that hosts had a big heart, but not the kind of heart of a fighter. Rather, it was the type to set your lineage and you become proud of it. So basically, they tell you the history of your lineage and such, and in return, you give them money or you give them some form of a family, or even now, cars, motorcycles, anything of value, really. At first, musicians used to do everything. Say, for example, I'm your Jeli. I help raise your kids. Your kids, my kid will be your kid's Jeli. And then it'll continue on for generations after that. And it'll continue just like that for every generation of descendants. What I get from you, I'll teach that to your children so that they can grow up with that. And I'll continue to tell stories like that. For example, someone kills 20 people and they repent for at least 10 of them. I'm going to have to tell your children that story. And your children will grow up with that and they'll say, my dad did this. And they grow up with heart because of that. And that's how it goes in Mali history. The Jelis tell the stories of the things that happened. They would sit the children down and talk to them, give them advice, tell them stories about what the people before them did, their ancestors. The host would also speak to their children as well. But now the relationship between Jelis and their hosts is a lot different because Jelia is being used more as a source of entertainment. People are recording them and putting them on social media for that purpose. It was like the Jeli and the host needed each other. Whenever the Jeli or the Jatiki needed something, the Jeli would help sort that out. If the host makes a mistake, the Jeli would help him correct it or put him on the right path. And don't allow him to continue making those mistakes. At first, Jelis didn't do that, but now Jelis, they allow this to happen in order to benefit just for themselves. So the relationship between Jeli and their host was definitely more beneficial, but on both sides. Is there another question? No. Thank you so much. I really like this. May Allah keep us in touch. Yeah, we just have to pay attention to Mali and keep us in mind, especially Mali musicians. Not just the singers, but especially the musicians, because they can spend a long time playing. You can probably find that a lot of Malian singers have a musician that's working with them, but like I said, we're not really acknowledged. So those who want to help us, help the musicians. If you don't want to help us, take pity on us and see our reality, and then you'll see that we could benefit from that help. My brother, thank you so much. This was very good. I talk a lot. No, 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 it's okay. I had a lot to say, I just didn't know how to articulate it.
Hey everyone, Eric from Orchestra Gold here. If you're this deep into the conversation, I have a sneaking suspicion that you're enjoying yourself. It was a labor of love putting these together. And another thing we'd love is your support. Blessings are always welcome. And if you're in a place to do monetary supports, we do have some lovely vinyl that we spent a lot of time putting together. I really think you're going to like it. It's got all the best songs that we've put out there over the last few years, including some unreleased music that you've probably never heard before. Link to that is below in the description. I wish you well, sending my very best. Take care and enjoy.